Konnichiwa, everyone. Welcome to the selection table. I am Pom, as always. Joining me are two regulars and one regular out, which is Lapdog. So unfortunately, Ryan and Mel, your boy Lapdog has let me down. But next to me, the legend that is Navy Blue Corner's host. He's happy because his co-host is back finally in the country. Mr. Ian. Ian, how are you doing?
Oh, doing very, very well. And happy that Lockie, my co-host, finally broke the curse of he left the country, Carlton started to become good, and we were very worried that he was going to be back in Australia, be there for the Sydney game. We were worried that he'd breathe the curse, but no, the Blues have won. So very, very happy and excited to get into some interesting selection changes this week.
Mate, I was actually going to set up a GoFundMe to cart Lockie back out of the country if we'd lost last week. But thankfully, he's allowed to stay. Beneath me, in the geographical sense of the word, Italy's own, SEN's own. He's doing some kind of magic trick with the fucking jersey behind you.
I've got the split system on. That's why.
What's that hung up on? Is that levitating?
No, it's on a coat hanger.
Right, well, Paolo, how are you doing? You all right?
There it is.
Spooky, mate. That's spooky.
I'm very well. I'm good. It's how nice. How good was today? The weather. We mustn't forget it's not been raining. Hey, today was a cracker. So
I mean, that means this week we can't use this.
This can happen. Remember, we mustn't forget that it's been raining, so the pitch is quite...
It's been raining?
Yeah.
Are you being serious? It's raining for both teams.
Yeah, I know, but...
Come on, Ty. Come on.
It's my favourite bit of the clip from AFTV of all time. It's actually the best. Now, looking forward to tonight. There's a bit going on. There is a bit going on.
There is, and making his debut not just on this show, but also the Pommy and Oz channel as well. The intelligent one from the Almost Blues Brothers and Mr. Joe Adamo. How are you doing?
I'll tell you, if I'm the intelligent one, that's a low bar to set, mate. That's a low. No, it's good. It's good to be here. It's been a while coming.
It has been, and obviously, people asking, you're live from Gotham City, Rowan says.
I saw that comment. There's no recovery from that. It's actually really good. No, I've been at the club tonight for banner night, and it's just finished up. So I'm half contemplating driving and doing this as we go, because I'm only about 10 minutes away from home or just sitting here. But I am burning fuel sitting here. That's all I'm going to say.
Mate, it's commitment, and we love it, and we thank you. And we've got Chill says you'll be on 5G, so you won't have Wi-Fi problems.
It has been an issue in recent times, but not tonight. No, not tonight.
I've heard of Bloomer. Well, obviously the late news is Jack Silvani is out, so we try and recreate the Carlton selection committee, and every week we kind of get a good feel for it. And all four of us changed our teams with about 2 minutes to go live. So we now officially know what it's like to be a Carlton selector. We've covered them all, and let's get straight into it. We'll pick on me. And for the caveat, I did have JSOS in this side. He is replaced in this side. So I thought about it, and I've gone Kemp, Whittaker, Chincotta, Sard, Marchbank, Newman, Akers, Cripps, Doherty, TDK, Cherra, Walsh, Motlop, Charlie, Cottrell, Owies, Mitch McGovern, full forward, Fogarty, Pitterneck, Cunningham, Hewitt, Kennedy, and coming back, fan favourite, Paddy Dow as my sub. My thought process, I know people want to put Kennedy at full forward. Voss has never done it. That's a David Teague thing, and I can't bring myself to see it again. And I just figured he's floated McGovern through there. He's floated Kemp through there in emergencies. In a final, are you going to do something you haven't tried in your tenure because let's go with safety. And then McGovern, Pitternet, TDK, everyone can float through there. Kennedy comes in as the extra mid. Doherty can swing back if needed. Carlton have still got the versatility. It's always going to look shit without Harry Mackay and Jack Martin, but that is the best way. But that is my team chat. So, esteemed members of the panel, fire away with questions.
Take it away, Ian. You're up the top if you've got anything.
Yeah, I guess one of the things I thought we maybe struggled a little bit with against Sydney was probably just transitioning the ball, moving it from our defensive half. Obviously, that's a big thing that Gov is very good at and good at starting. Are you all at all concerned about him moving forward and who's then going to take his spot in generating a lot of the balls from outside in the defensive 50?
Well, I mean, it's a tough one. I mean, I liked Marchbank looked pretty tasty in that fourth quarter. He finally looked like he'd got into the speed of the game. Kemp's been killing that role. Wheatering's been killing that role. I still think 4 tall defenders or mid to tall defenders is too many. Anyway, I think in an ideal world, it worked last week. I don't think it'll work all the time, though. So I figured I'm a big fan of McGovern, but I think you can interchange them with Kemp if you want to. We know Voss likes to deploy Pitternet full forward. He did it in the regular season when TDK and Pitternet were first starting to find it. They're not the hugest side down back, so McGovern would still be down there. It was just literally, I figured, why don't you play someone who was actually played forward full time? And McGovern, that was his job for a long time before we accidentally found out he was a backman. So I think if it does go wrong in game, McGovern can swing back, Kemp floats forward, Pitternet goes forward. I think you've still got it. It's just literally he's going to have at least 50 minutes of this game forward.
Very fair.
Joe?
Yeah, I don't know. McGovern at full forward. You were saying that that we hadn't seen Kennedy in the forward lineup during the Voss era. I can't remember a starting lineup that had McGovern in the forward line under Voss, to be fair.
True. Good point. But my argument is with McGovern, we've seen him swing there. So he's done that. He did it against GWS. He seems to have swung that in-game if there's been an emergency.
Yeah, no doubt he can swing there. I do agree with that, and I think we will see that if we are struggling. I just think if they're bringing in Kennedy, it will be for a reason, and I think that reason is because we lack that height up forward now. All of a sudden, I don't know. That's just my thoughts, though.
No, I think it's a fair point. I mean, obviously, we've just put the players in a position. I mean, we could put Plough. I knew Lockie Jack was going to say Plowman. I knew it was coming. No, it's a good point. I just feel that, McGovern's done it in a final, though, hasn't he, at forward?
That's a good point. That is a good point. Yeah.
And I figured that I don't want to ruin the back line, but McGovern's the man. Do you know what I mean? He's the most experienced here in a final, and we know playing finals as a forward, as we've seen from all teams this year, them inexperienced forwards have been exposed a little bit in that pressure scenario. And I don't think McGovern I don't think he'd be scared. 45 meters out on an angle, he'd kick it.
Interesting. What about, Kennedy as well coming into the team? Is that a pure on-ball rotation? Because we know Melbourne like to rotate a lot of numbers through their on-ball brigade. So it's probably something that we would look to do if he's named in the team, Plummy.
Yeah, I think so. And I think with Kennedy, you've seen Voss this year with Kennedy. He's definitely that player that Voss doesn't have a Scooby to do what to do with him.
Yeah.
Early in the late season, he slotted across half-back. Do you know what I mean? There was moments where he even popped up on the wing at times. You can see for Voss, in my belief, and we said it, all of us, apart from Joe, who wasn't here last week, it's either Hewitt or Kennedy. when he comes in, I think it's the same thing. Someone's going to have to rotate out there, probably Doc. So Doc will probably become the 7th defender in my lineup here. Cottrell gets more wing time, and then Kennedy slots between midfield when Walsh and Cherry go on the wing, and half forward when Cottrell goes on the wing. So I feel like you've still got that swing. You've still got that ability to rotate, and it's only for one game, isn't it? Like, my theory here is get through this. Like Carlton Blue says, give someone a chance to occupy lever, whether that be Kennedy resting, McGovern, TDK, Pitternet, put someone on him. And obviously, if Jesus was fit, this is the easiest team selection in the world, but he's not.
Yeah. That all good arguments.
Just to confirm, Sauce is being reported now by various outlets. I've refreshed Twitter while we're here. That he's failed a fitness test. So it looks like he's out. So we're doing that on the assumption that he is out. So that could be it. So that is my team chat. Let's pick on the new kid. Talk to me what you've done.
Not too dissimilar. I've got Hollands as the sub, and I think that will happen due to Akers' question mark around that collarbone. Just if he does pull up lame, we're going to need someone that can run. So that's why I've got Hollands there. But really, the rest of it is pretty much the same. I've got Marchbank on the interchange instead of on field. McGovern at centre-half back. And I've got TDK lining up the full forward with Pitto starting at the first centre bounce. I just think it's pretty simple. Like, we've got TDK and Pitto, right, at our disposal. TDK, you can deploy him forward, play him out of the goal square. If you need a decoy, he's the one. And Pitto can get to work against a Max Corn who has been reported to have a broken toe. So he's not going to be at 100% anyway. Let Pitto throw his body around for most of the night in the ruck. Keep TDK occupying Lever or May in the goal square and helping out Charlie. And Kennedy, I just feel if he comes in, it's to play a role of third tall that we're going to be missing without Martin or JSOS.
I think it makes sense, mate. I think, Joe, you've nailed it. I mean, my one question here, would you like Pitternet to have learned from his own mistakes? Now, I'm not suggesting he cheats here or does anything dodgy, but if you remember when we played Freo, Carlton reported, a bit like Max Gorn has been reported, that he had a bit of a dicky leg. And what happened? Sean Darcy first centre bounce, targeted it, and then about 4 ruck contests later, obviously he's completely cooked. He's subbed out of the game within the first quarter. Do you hope to see a little bit of gamesmanship here from Pitternet to have seen that and gone, first centre bounce, I'm accidentally standing on him?
Listen, I think you don't have to make it obvious, right? If it's in a tackle or you're like, you're in a ruck contest with him and you're tied up. If you're not trying, it's not about trying to step on.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Absolutely, he will be conscious that it's there. And I'm telling you, in a semi-final, you pull out all the stops, mate. Like, you seriously do. If this was any other sport, like if this was soccer, overseas, Premier League, last day, and an opposition player knew that one of their players is going in with a broken toe, I promise you that toe's falling off 10 minutes in. 10 minutes in.
You wear the longest, hardest, biggest stops you can put on.
Hey,
with the heaviest metal studs you'll ever see. Surely.
It's going to be dry, but I bet your Pitto's out there with stops like that. Like that. Nah, look, of course, he's going to be conscious. He'll be conscious of it. I don't know if he's going to, I don't know if Pitto would, but if you're asking me what I would do, it's their best player, right? If Max Gorn plays a big game, Melbourne probably win. So, you don't make it easy for him. I think what I'm saying.
Yep.
Mate, no, I agree with you. My other question, and this is to go with David Redbear, who asked me, obviously Harry plays that intricate role up the wing, which is the thankless role at Carlton, because even though you have 7 score involvements, Carlton fans want to trade you at halftime. Now, In my selection, I had TDK doing that role because that's the role that Voss seems to deploy him when he's not rucking.
Mhm.
Are you doing the same thing? Do you want TDK to work up the ground, or are you going to give Charlie the responsibility? Because I thought that's something that Voss did last week when Harry went off with Charlie, but he had no one to kick to, unfortunately.
There's a reason I named Charlie centre half forward. I think it's Charlie. I think you tell Charlie you're going to play a selfless role tonight. I don't care if Charlie doesn't kick a goal, but if he's got 5 direct goal assists with that laser right foot that he's got, jamming him down TDK's throat, no issue. And I think Charlie's the perfect one for it. Like, if Charlie can take, it'll be Stephen May, because it's been Stephen May the last couple of times we played him. If he can take Stephen May out of our forward 50 and higher up the ground, it's one less interceptor we've got to worry about. And I think if Charlie can work, if he can work him all night up the ground and getting to that 60 to 70 metres out, 80 metres out, where he can put a dart over the top of Lever's head or whoever's head, that's the way to go. There's no other player there in that forward line that can do what Charlie does further up the ground.
Unfortunately, he's a rare specimen.
Not expecting to see a 5-goal haul from Charlie this week. It just shouldn't be the case if we're going to win this game.
Ian, have you got any questions? And chat, throw your questions in as well.
Yeah, it's a good team. I guess my question would be, like, did you consider, because you did mention with Kennedy that you were probably looking for that third tall in the forward line to replicate what I guess Martin can do with his marking ability. Did you think at all about maybe going a bit smaller, knowing we don't have Harry there, and maybe we weren't going to be as good in the air, to just go a bit smaller and play slightly differently that way? Like, I know the name's been like Fish and people like that have been thrown about as someone who has played a lot more traditionally forward than a Kennedy. Did you take much consideration into that?
Now, the Kennedy pick is a good question, but the Kennedy pick, for me, it allows what Pom was saying before as well. Like, you can throw him into the middle. And Melbourne have got some big bodies that go through the middle and rotate through centre bounces and stoppages all the time. So Kennedy can play that high half forward role that rolls up to the front of a stoppage that we've seen Fogarty play or Cunningham play or Martin play at times. And I think he's the perfect body for it because he is an inside mid. So if we need to throw someone else in there throughout the game, you've got him there rolling up to the front of stoppages. You can start him in a centre bounce and have Walsh come off the half forward line. It gives that diversity, I think, with your 22. The other thing is, and it was another point that you made, I still think for us to win this game, we're gonna have to hit grass. If we're trying to long bomb in, regardless of whether Harry, Martin were playing or J-Soffs, if we're trying to long bomb in this game, we're not winning. Like, we're gonna have to hit grass regardless, right? So Kennedy gives that balance if you need a marking target, and he can lead up, and we've seen him do that. That's more so for the stoppage. But I think the second part of your question, if we're not trying to hit grass and really pressure them at ground level, where Melbourne are a little bit susceptible in their back six, then we're not going in with the right mentality around how we're going to win this game.
Mate, I love it. We've got a question from the audience. Josh, we know Richmond have done it. Do you reckon, he's asking, would you bring Dom or Lemmy in?
Straight no, and that's all. Not in a game like this. No way.
Yeah, I'm with you. Anyone in the panel different?
Not at all. Agree.
And you've got a bit of love here from Alexander Larder. I love Joe so much. 3 love heart smileys. Should be on Pomley's channel every week. We should sort it out, Alexander. I agree with you.
I appreciate it.
That's lovely, that. Hey, usually the debutant gets heckled. Have you got any questions, fella?
Just quickly, Pom's, just for everyone wondering where Pom got that photo from, that is from my LinkedIn profile, is it not, Pom?
I was just about to ask you about that. Where in God's name did you get that from? What is going on there?
It's a shock. It is a shocker.
Pom's fantastic at finding these photos, just so you know. It works away thievously for these.
Very good. He's very good. Very good.
Any questions about the team, Paolo?
Not really. No. But Holland sub, I mean, I guess that's understandable. I'm assuming it's just for a bit of run late in the game and
Akers with the collarbone, just in case.
Yeah.
What if he pulls up lane? That's what I'm thinking. If he pulls up lane,
I like that. Yeah.
Quarter, right? You don't want to throw Walsh out on a wing just because he's the only runner that you got. You'd rather him be inside. So that's it. That was mind that. That's all.
Like it.
I've got to say that El Paso has made some great comments about our profile pictures. This might be my favourite one.
That is brilliant.
Oh,
Fantastic.
that is gold.
It is good. But, I mean, you get to see the fans' favourites photo now. Ian.
Look at him go.
Oh, it's a good one. It's a good one. The real estate agent is coming out, I guess, in that one. But yeah, I've gone big for some changes this week. I've gone rogue, I think. I wanted to cause maximum damage. It was a difficult one. Definitely a lot easier changes, I think, if Silvani is there. But I don't know. It was last minute. Felt like being a proper Carlton selector where maybe there was a bit of panic and maybe we went too bizarre with the changes, but I really just wanted versatility because the kind of guys that we really want to be out there aren't. And so that's why I guess, a Fisher, Hollands are in because can play multiple positions, can allow others to play in other spots as well. So if things are going wrong, if Fisher's not working in defense, we can throw Doherty there and we don't have to worry about the wing because Hollands is there, or Fish can go on the wing if we're struggling in the forward line. You got a guy like Fisher that can move into there. I was just really about trying different things and having the ability to have a plan B, have a lever to pull at some stage. And yeah, the Chincotta dropping is pretty harsh. I just kind of think he hasn't been amazing and thought he was probably by far our worst against Sydney. Some of his decision-making and execution I didn't love, and touching on it a little bit, talking with Pommy's team, that thought we struggled a bit to move the ball outside D50 and really exiting and transition. And that was something that Fisher was really good at, I felt, when he was in the team. So I wanted a bit more run, someone who can just get the ball under their arms and get 10 or 15 meters, which I think Fish can do, and got a good left peg as well, which might help us out. But again, if it's not working, if he's struggling a little bit in defense, you can throw Doherty back into the defense and Fish can go forward. He can go on the wing. Hollands in just was that real big versatility factor, allows Doc to go back, allows other players to move somewhere else. And even late, I think, if you need Cripper to maybe go forward, Doc goes to the wing, Doc goes to the midfield, Hollands goes and stays on that wing. And if worst case it happens, Akers gets injured, you've also got Hollands that goes back and forth, the defensive running. He goes back with the flight of the ball. If you need someone to get a touch on the back of the line, I think he could be the one. So, yeah, I've gone very versatile for keeping my options open. Throw the questions at me.
Mate, you've Pom Cotter. And my question is, obviously Pom Cotter last week did a bit of a roll on Heaney when Papley decided to slide forward after they'd worked out that Carlton had no idea how to handle him in the midfield. He also had a bit of a go on Mr. Papley as well. Obviously, their forwards, as we know at Melbourne, they're pretty tasty. They are, especially Pickett. He's got previous. You'd imagine that he's going to have one of them small guys. Would you trust Fisher one-on-one with Pickett versus Pom Cotter?
That's obviously the biggest question mark on Fisher and why it's probably a bit of a controversial guy to bring in to replace, because Chincotta, he may not, he's fine going forward, but the defensive side of his game is why he's in there, and he allows Newman and Sard to push off. But I think with Marchbank, he can play a little bit smaller if you need him to. He's still got a little bit of pace. We've seen that, I think, in the Collingwood game last year in particular. So I think you've kind of got enough guys that can lock down. If you need Newman to do it for a little bit, you can. And again, it's kind of why Hollands is there, that if worst case, I think you can throw Doc into defense. We've seen it work so many times, and we've got other options elsewhere. So I'm not too worried, because I'm more needing Fish to move the ball when we need to, because I thought Sydney stifled us a little bit too much, and that's my worry. So I was just trying to fix that component, but worst case, Doc takes over and we know he can still move the ball from D50. So while I get why he'd be a little bit worried for Fish in the defense, particularly after the GWS game, there was a couple of panicked moments under pressure, but I just think you can make moves worst case, and the other guys I brought in kind of allow me to do that.
Okay. I'll forgive you. You're still my friend. Joe, have you got any questions?
Yeah, I just think it's not really a question. I just think the Fisher selection is just so fraught with danger based on what we've seen in big moments. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying it's wrong. Like, your reasoning is right. Like, he's creative, right? Especially with ball in hand. Like, and he can really, at his best, he can really, really propel us forward and get us going. But, gee, I'm already visualizing some sort of hack kick that costs us at the end of the game, and it's sending shivers through my body to even think about it.
Oh no, I totally get you, and like it's not perfect, and part of me wanted to maybe not bring him into this team, but I thought it'd maybe be a bit boring if I went too simple. But I like the idea as well, because I'm just worried about our forward line slightly. Is that enough? If we don't bring Fisher, so the idea is as well that, look, if it doesn't work and there's an issue, we've got another option in the forward line that can move to around the stoppages like a Jack Martin does, and it adds to the midfield, adds to what we do inside 50. But I do completely understand the concern with Fisher, because, yeah, there's always that panic mistake that he potentially has, and in finals, that's just, does he have what it takes? So I guess we may find out. We might not.
If you swapped Hollands for Chincotta and made sure you've still got Chincotta at the back there, because we're thinking Gov's probably going to spend some time forward at some point, right? If you were to swap Hollands for Chincotta and you had Fisher in there as well, it probably allows Fisher, like, it's basically 8 defenders essentially that we'll be rolling with. But Fisher can be that faux defender where essentially he just lays off the back of a stoppage and he's got free rein. In that case, where there's no accountability and there's enough behind him to cover for any defensive liability that he might have on the night, you could probably convince me, to be fair. But I think Hollands is the one that needs to make way if that's the case.
Yeah, I'm not 100% absolutely in love with the team. I'm happy to switch a Fish for a Chincotta. I just liked potentially debating and seeing what would happen if you brought Fish into the lineup, and keeping Hollands on the wing with the forward line as it is, and what Cottrell was able to do inside 50. I liked the idea of not even having to worry about a Cottrell on the wing, just keep him in the forward line. We know he can take a mark overhead as well, like he did against Sydney last year. I can't remember. There was another game he had a couple of set shots inside 50. Might have been Freo, I think, at Marvel. He has that in his locker. So I thought, do that. But then I loved the thought of, we can make so many moves if things aren't working. And maybe you don't get that with a Chincotta in defense. There's no one else you can move around. But I guess Gov wasn't really in my thoughts to chuck into the forward line. But if I was looking to move any of those guys, which makes sense because you've got so much height down there, and Melbourne don't necessarily have that amount of big key forwards, that, then chuck Chincotta there. So you've got more versatility with the Gov forward. But there's so many different avenues I think you can go down. It's very interesting to chat about.
Don't mind it.
Paolo, you've been writing something down, so I'm expecting a big question here for Ian.
I have written down 3 things, right? So,
oh no,
I'm in trouble.
No. It's a good thing. So, the case for Fisher, and this is what I'll raise when I come up with my team. The case for Fisher and people saying 8 defenders. I think you made a great point with regards to there's enough back there to be able to cover for his defensive deficiencies. Would you agree with that?
Yes. And that, as I don't want to touch too much on it, but that was kind of the other part of it, is you can throw someone else there. Everyone else is the defense. You just need him to move the ball, because we struggled. We went slow far too many times against Sydney. And I just thought we just need some penetration from the defense. So maybe that's an avenue you can look at.
Right. Okay. That's the one. Yeah. I think that's the argument for that as well. What about, so Holland straight into the team?
Yeah.
I mean, I love Cottrell pushing forward up the ground, right? But the Hollands in, what do you think was the reason for him coming out of the team last week? That's what I was curious about.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and it worked really well, I guess, without Hollands in the team as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got so many guys, I think, that can rotate on the wing. You've obviously got Cottrell that can push higher up, get him more of an impact, moving the ball forward for us. Doherty can go out there, Chera, Walsh, so many guys can go there. So maybe you're not necessarily needing a Hollands to do it, but I don't know. I think Melbourne have such good wings that I wanted a bit more stability there as well. And with the midfield, it kind of allows you to have Doherty maybe play a bit more stronger on the ball to deal with Melbourne's midfield and just say, hey, we know Hollands and Akers, it's worked for 90% of this season every time we've had them there. They can track back and maybe won't get too caught out with anyone on the wing defensively because we know Hollands will track back. And I just don't want to get burnt on that side as well. So I think that a Hollands just allows you to not worry about that. It covers for Akers if there's any issues and just allows a Cottrell more forward, which if, a Martin's not injured, I probably wouldn't make that move, but I'm thinking I need some more firepower up forward, and that just allows Cottrell in that forward line for longer.
And the other thing I wrote down, and one more, and it's going to be the question that's asked it may not even come to fruition, but if you had a gun to your head, Kemp or McGovern up forward to play that role, who do you go with if they were to go that way? Who's your preference?
It'd be McGovern, I think, down forward. Yeah,
Okay.
I trust him more, but it makes me more concerned in defense, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, cool. Nice. All right, tick, tick, tick for me.
I love it. Well, Paolo, you were taking notes.
Yeah.
Here's Paolo's notes.
I'm going to take notes on my notes about my notes.
Tell us what you did.
So I've gone Martin Mackay out. Obviously, we know would love to see Silvani, but we know that's not going to be the case from what we're hearing. So Fisher, Motlop in. Now, the reason I wanted to bring Fisher in was because I think, not that it's been ignored by everyone, but I think people can kind of forget the horses for courses type scenario. Now, the Sydney game and the Melbourne game are going to be two completely different games because Melbourne bring different strengths and we'll bring a different type of, tactically and the way we set up will be similar to what we've always done, but you have to be a bit more nuanced with opposition because they're going to throw different things at us. And I actually really liked what Zach Fisher did against Melbourne last time. I thought he was poised across half back. I thought he showed some nice moments. I know he only had 3 score involvements, but I like what he did. And I think just based on that backline mix we threw up against Melbourne last time, against the forward line this time against them, that looks... I know they've got a few tricky players up there, but it seems to be... Let's be honest. I mean, the numbers suggest it's on struggle street, right? I know they created opportunities last week, but our backline, if Fisher goes down there, I don't think... God, the defensive application of the backline shouldn't just completely switch off if we've got a bloke there whose defensive attributes are not ideal. But I actually think he did some nice defensive things against Melbourne. He had some nice smothers. He had a little bit of corralling, which I like to see as well. So I think him coming into the team is based on one of these defenders coming out and playing a role further up the ground. And I think that person could potentially be Brodie Kemp. And the reason I say that is because it's more of a recency thing. Now, he played a little bit of a role up forward against GWS late in the game when the game was shot, done and dusted. But I think the fact that they made that move rather than McGovern going up there tells me that he could be the one that shifts out of that back line to potentially go up forward. And that then means that Fisher can slot in there. I'm not saying he's going to play the same role as Kemp because he can't, but I think that nice bit of ball use we get from Kemp and that zip and needle we get from Kemp coming out of the back line, we can kind of look for that in Zach Fisher as well. And I think the conditions will suit him too, because I think the ball's going to be zinging around on Friday night with the dry conditions. So I think it will suit him too. And bringing in Motlop as well, I think is the obvious replacement for Jack Martin. We've seen him play a similar role earlier in the season. So I'm not saying he's going to reach the heights of Jack Martin, but what I like about Motlop too is that he's just got a pure eye for goal now as well. And I think he deserves a spot in the team. He's on the precipice, clearly, because he was the sub last week. So for me, if they were going to go down the path of Kemp or McGovern sliding up the ground, I think it would be Brodie Kemp, just based on what we saw in the Giants game. And that means Fisher can potentially roll through the back line as well. And Marchbank getting comfortable in the team too last week shows that he can probably take up that Kemp role. And Sydney have more tools than what Melbourne does. So I'm not too concerned about that. So Dow was the sub. I think he deserves to be sub. I think he put his hand up in the back half of the year when we really needed him. And I think he can be another midfield rotation, because we know Melbourne can go down that path too. So, that's what I'm going with. Chincotta I've left in. I think he can take Pickett if they want to go the pure 1v1 type of role. But you do see our backline. I mean, they all, and Jacob Wiedering said it too, it's not my man, it's our man. So they'll all rotate through given position and where the ball's going to be on the field. So that's what I've gone with, and that's what I think they're going to do. I think Kemp will slot up forward if they decide to go down that way.
Mate, I like your reasoning. Do you reckon, a few people have asked it in chat, everyone's gone Dow as sub, or obvious ones. Ed Kerner.
Yeah.
Would Ed Kerner be an option for this one, knowing that they're such a real physical side?
He'd have to be, would he not? And I think he's played the sub role okay this season, and he's as versatile as any of them. He can float through the midfield. We can see him play up forward as well. But I think there's more. I think Dow is a bit more dynamic and a bit more impactful than what Kerno is. I think Ed Kerno is a little bit more reliable with regards to what you see is what you get. But I think Dow deserves his spot as sub, just given what he has done in the back half of the season. I think the back half of the season for Batty Dow has been far better than what Ed Kerno's given us this season, and that's the reasoning I'm making there. But it could potentially be an option. I don't think so, though.
Mate, Mr. Ian.
See, I don't have too many questions, because I'll be honest, this was my actual team that I was having, but then I thought I can't do the same as Paolo. I've got to change things up. So and then I really talked myself into the Hollands move. And I originally had Chincotta out before it looked like Silvani was. I stuck with my guns and made that move. But I just wanted to touch on Fisher as well. I know I spoke on him for ages, but it's almost one for like the chat as well, just to kind of ask a question. Like, he only really had one bad game in his whole back of the season run, and that was against GWS. Everyone was loving Fish. I reckon if that game doesn't happen, no one is asking for him to come out of the side. The only time I saw people say, we need to get Fish out of this team, was all of a sudden when he had one bad game against GWS. So, like St Kilda, he was unbelievable. Melbourne, he was great. Like, he was so pivotal in moving the ball for us at times. I wonder if people are just thinking of that one game in defense from what they saw.
I'm just going back to his game against. Was he really that bad against GWS?
He just had two moments that he was bad. He had that one panicked defensive 50 and a bad 50 meter against him.
Okay, well, that 50 meter pen, that can happen to anyone, really. So just wipe that out. He had 5 score involvements. He kicked a nice goal. I know he had 6 clangers, 3 inside 50s. I don't know what his direct opponent did, but I think so. What I'm looking at here is people saying it's a risk. I understand that it's a risk, but I want to see an aggressive approach. He's the type of player you bring into this game that says, we want our backline to be aggressive. We want to take it to them, not the other way around. We don't want to be dour, because I think we've already got enough blokes who are dour in there. But even and Pommy, you and I have harped on about this too. You look at that back line, it's really not that dour, aside from maybe Jacob Wiedering, who's got, the turning circle of the Queen Mary. Even he had a lot of ground ball gets last week, which is really not something that you see from him too. So the back line, even if Marchbank, McGovern, Newman, Marchbank, McGovern and Wiedering can all play tall, but Marchbank and McGovern, even Kemp for that matter, if they do decide to keep those blokes back there, they've all got zip and needle. None of those blokes are dour aside from Wiedering. So I think the back line is already aggressive, and it's already strong enough defensively, and that team defense has to come to the fore too. I just think Fisher will just add to the zip and run and carry that win. And we need to get that ball in there quickly as well. I know you have to balance it out. Sometimes you have to move it slow, but I think he'll provide a bit of zing as well. And he's not afraid to take that kick on the 45. He's not afraid to get the ball and get a wriggle on as well. So I would like to see him. I'd like to see him in the team. And it's based on horses for courses. I like what he did against Melbourne a couple of weeks ago. And this game, we know it's going to be different compared to the Sydney one. You can't. It's not apples and apples. These two teams are completely different.
Yeah, looking at the team, do you see him at all being an option to play half forward as well? Is that a consideration that you're looking at with him? I'm just interested to see a bit more on what you're saying.
If they want to go down that path, that could definitely be an option. But I like him in that half-backish role, sweeping up at the stoppage as well, which I think just based on the conditions we're going to get on Friday, I think we're going to get a lot of clean ball and handball away from stoppage, which if he can move up at the back of that and provide that outlet that we've seen or that Jordan Boyd was committing to, I think he can be dangerous in that role, pushing up from the back of the stoppage and playing that role. So, look, again, his defensive attributes, I mean, one-on-one, we know he's not strong, but actually there were some things he did in that Melbourne game, if you go back and watch, some smothers, a little bit of corralling that he committed to that I really like. So I think he should be playing. That's the case I'm making for him.
Mate, I like it. Mr. Joe, have you got any questions for young Paolo?
No, I don't, because it's similar to Lockie's, but you've both started to convince me on Fisher, which is not something I thought I would be thinking at this point.
I usually did pretty well in the debates in English class, so. And how can you deny that profile picture there, mate? Look at that.
Oh, true. The posture is something else, I tell you what.
Yeah, there's a tie clip as well. I even got the tie clip in there. Fisher is the tie clip on this team.
Paolo, if you puffed your chest out anymore, you'd fly higher than Jezelenko did.
That's a la natural, mate. That's a la natural. The tie clip and the buttons would have gone flying off if I did, mate. Stronger. See how it says stronger on the chest?
Yeah, Jesus, yeah. It makes me. You do make me laugh. You do make me laugh, Paolo. But no, I like the team, and I agree with you. I mean, I've seen a lot of comments here saying don't mess with the backline and stuff, but I mean, I'll caveat that you go back and watch last week. One of them, Marchbank, Whittaker, Kemp, all stay out of the way. So if you went back and if any of you watched the rating show with me and Terry, we give you their positional heat maps and their possession heat maps, so you get to see a clear indication. It's real profound that one of them came out of the back line. So that's how they're allowed to fly for the ball. So whether one of them's resting forward or one goes to a more defensive wing, which allowed Cottrell to get really high up the ground and they try and play it out that way.
Yeah.
Someone is not always going to be in that back line. So, don't get clouded. If Fisher is that seventh, he isn't always going to be back pocket, last man defending. They are going to shift that round. And I remember from the Melbourne game, which he had a really good game that you guys keep talking about, it was Newman who shifted to back pocket.
Yes.
And he ended up, I think, leading possession getter, but he then took that role of being the exit first out of 50 and trying to get it to Zach Fisher. And Zach Fisher was kind of out of the way, the extra, which last week was Adam Sard. Adam Sard was the guy they kind of tucked away out of the way. We win the ball back, we give it to you, and then you go. So don't get too clouded that if there's an extra person there, the backline's going to end. No. Because Carlton are the only team from round one to now that have ranked top 2 every round for defensive stats, even when they've lost. Yep. So it basically means you've probably got 10 people who could play in the back line and still be strong.
Yeah, I think so. There are two things out of that, right? So you mentioned Newman and a couple of others there. So I think, was it the Melbourne game or the Collingwood game, Pommy, where you mentioned that our opposition threw someone to Newman, then they threw someone to Sard, then they threw someone to, and then the other person got us. So if they throw someone to Newman, well, Fisher and Newman will stay out the way, and Fisher and Sard will be the exit. They throw someone to Sard, okay, well, we know Fisher and Newman are going to be the exit, and that's how it rotates. So I'm looking at it from an aggressive point of view. And then you also mentioned that there's a scenario where if Fisher is the back pocket in that scenario and he's the last man, well, I'd be worried because that means something up the ground's not going right. So he'd be asking his midfielders and the team in front of him, well, how the fuck am I in this scenario? I shouldn't be in this scenario. And it also goes back to stop the supply and control the source and keep it in your front half. That's how we play. We want to play a high press. We want to play the ball in our front half like all the best football teams in the world do. That's what Manchester City do. That's what Real Madrid do. That's what Barcelona do. They want to play that ball in their front half and lock it inside with a high press. Simple as that.
Mate, love it. I love it. Well, I mean, let's do the hard bit. We've talked about it. Let's pick this team. Right. Let's see if the new method works. I don't have my usual trusty assistant. You do it. Right. So there we are. We'll do this because this worked better last week. The feedback was we can see it. We can see it. So,
right. Jot these names down there.
You should be able to, if I press one touch of a button, you should be able to see the guys on the left of your pool.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chat. Don't be scared to tell me. There's no offside. Thanks, Marky. Right. So we'll go top to bottom. For Joe and those new joining us, we all get to save one person each. So that's 4, which means chat, you get the last 2 for each line. So we're starting with the defense. We'll start with Ian. Which of these miscreants do you want to save?
I would love to save Caleb Marchbank after his big performance.
I love it.
And where do you want to play Caleb of Marchbank?
You can chuck him in back pocket or kind of half back. He sort of floats. It's hard to lock him down on the spreadsheet. All
right, cool. I like it. Mr. Joe, which backman are you saving?
Yeah, I'm going to go McGovern because I don't want to see him forward. So we'll go McGovern.
Where do you want him? Centre half-back or full-back?
Centre half-back.
I actually like Joe on here because he's not doing a leg dog and like picking Marchbank and playing him half-back flank and just trying to force a shit team selection. Paolo, who are you saving?
I'm going to do it. I'm going to save Zach Fisher, but on the interchange.
Ooh.
Oh.
Okay. Is that a first? Someone being saved this early on the interchange? Has to be, doesn't it?
I did it on the midfielders when I could tell that no one was going to pick a ruckman.
Did I have to save? Did I have to save a defender?
Yeah, you had to save a backman. Yeah.
I understand what Paolo's done there. That's very good.
Okay. I am going to save Pom Cotter.
Yes, I knew you would. I knew he was getting it too. Stick that one up your ass, Ian.
I'll find a way to get him out. Wildcard rule or something.
Nice jab.
So, chat, we've got 2 spots left. We've got Kemp. It's all right, Jay. Don't worry. I got your back, mate. You got Kemp, Sard, Whittaker and Sard. It looks like you're going to have to get Whittaker. Oh, here we are. The boys are coming in. Whittaker and Sard. Bring back the wild card. Lockie Jack, you ruined the wild card because we had Plowman at fucking full forward, mate. It was good while it lasted.
Goal snake.
Oof.
Sard is coming in hot.
Well, Sard, you'd say from this, Sard is safe. It's out of Weeders and Kemp. Sure.
We can save all 3 technically.
Well,
if we want to.
There's 3 spots left.
There is 3.
Yeah,
so
tell you what, Whittaker, Sard, and Kemp are saved.
Get him in there. Get him in there.
That's easy. Whittaker, Sard. Where's Kemp gone?
Newman in a bit of strife early, but anyway, we'll see.
There we are. So, Ian, midfield. We're on the centre line and followers. Who are you saving?
There's nothing rogue I could do except for bring in Hollands, and I'm not sure I necessarily want to. I'll maybe leave that. Give me Blake Acres. I'll go simple.
Bob him on the wing. Joe, field and followers.
Let's go Pitto, Ruck.
Oof, I love it. Paolo, you've sprang selection shocks. Who are you bringing in?
Yes, I have. I'm not going to provide a shock here. That name that you just hovered over there, up, yeah, Patrick Cripps, right on the middle line there, right in the guts. In the guts.
Okay. Wing, Samuel Doherty.
Samuel.
Full name.
Samuel.
Full title. So, chat, we need 2 mids. We haven't yet. Someone's going to have to save him on the interchange. So, chat, 2 more for mids. We've got our rucks, so you're looking for your followers.
Yep.
We've got Walsh and Chera.
Walsh, Chera.
We've got
Walsh,
Chera
Hewitt.
and Walsh. Walsh and
Chera.
Hewitt.
Hewitt.
Ches Walsh. Looks like Walsh and Ches.
Yeah, that's all.
I don't think that follower has changed full fit. I reckon that is the most common selection we have had on this year.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's just beautiful. Walsh and Chera.
Hey, what, we're getting down to bare bones here. Right. Forwards. Ian.
Give me Matty Cottrell on the half forward line.
Love it.
Huge.
Mr. Joe.
Give me TDK full forward.
Ooh.
I love it. Paolo.
Oh, well, we've got to save Charlie. Throw him at centre half forward.
That's the first time I have not saved Charlie. Who do I like the most here? You know what?
Yes.
Fogarty.
You love it. You love a defensive forward, Tommy. You love a defensive forward.
It was going to be someone not sexy when it's me.
You love
it. Let's have a look, chat. We've got Owens, Motlop, Connors getting votes. We need forwards. Need some goal kickers. Pick some, Bridget. Pick some. You got Charlie there. What are you on about?
Well, Kennedy's got a vote.
Owens and Motlop. Kennedy and Connors. Connors and Motlop.
Owens, Motlop.
Owens and Motlop. Motts. Kennedy, Connors. Connors, Owens. It looks like Owens is a lock.
And Motlop.
I think Owens and Motlop. Owens, pocket, Motlop, half forward.
Nice and easy, chat.
That's the move, I think. Yeah, that's the move.
Okay, chat. So, well, we've got one interchange bench full. We've got the sub as well. So, Ian, interchange sub.
Look, there's one person that's very obvious. Kind of want to see what happens. So I'm going to pick George Hewitt.
Okay.
Oh, the world's a burn. Joe, interchange or sub. Who are you picking?
I really want to see this fuck up, and the Newman is a part of it. No, I will save Newman. I'll do this. I'll do the right.
You could have turned heel on us, Joey.
I'll do the right thing.
We definitely,
you son of a bitch! Wow.
We're definitely going to have to sack Let Dog because there's no way that Let Dog would have done that. Let Dog would have picked Hollands. And
someone else have to make the tough call.
Paolo,
save Cunners. Wasn't his set shot in the second term at half time just gorgeous? Wasn't it just beautiful?
No.
More of that, please.
Okay,
there we are. Chat.
Who's the
chat? Who are we going with? Holland?
Did we forget? Did we forget Dow? Did we have him as a sub too?
Ooh.
I think I've just knocked him out by accident. So we've
You
got
wanna put-
Dow,
let's chuck
Holland,
Dow in as well. Yeah, there we
Kennedy.
go.
Right, Dow, Holland, Kennedy. Who's the sub?
This is a great pick for sub. This is great.
Yeah.
This is going to get the chat up and about here.
Tell you what, I didn't even think about the possibility of a Kennedy as a sub, but it's actually a really good move for having someone that can go forward if you need him as well.
Dow at the moment.
Getting a lot of the love.
He's bolted away here. He's bolted away. Oh, look at this.
It's Dow.
Oh, mate, forget about it.
It looks like it's Dow.
Yeah. Gee,
that's a hot team.
Actually,
so chat, that is the team, all right?
That is, you know whose team that is? If we go back and have a look. That is my team.
It's only because you saved Fisher.
Hey, mate, you got to play your cards early.
It was good.
You got to play your
and
saves
we managed
early,
to manipulate it.
Here's the graphic we are prepared earlier for you.
Yes. Here's one we prepared earlier. Nigella Lawson. Thank you.
The only difference is Newman and Chincotta. I think the rest is bang on.
Yeah.
Tell you what, that is very, very impressive. But that
Only
is,
Michael Voss.
do you know what I mean? That is
That's
the
huge.
team. The team is looking very tasty. Look, we've got Marchbank, Whittaker in Kemp, Sard, McGovern, Chincotta, Akers, Cripstock, Motlock, Kerno, Cottrell, always TDK, Fogarty, Pitternet, Walsh, Chera, Fish, Hewitt, Newman, Cunners, and Dow being the super sub for his final, which would be that would be a huge story, wouldn't it? Coming of age, considering that he was like delisted this time 14 weeks ago, to be on the precipice of that. Well, chat, as always, that was a load of fun. Ian, this week, if the mental people in chat want to go and find you somewhere, where would they go?
Or go to Navy Blue Corner. At Navy Blue Corner is the socials for the podcast. We're on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, there as well in audio form. The big Sydney review was out. It almost went longer than the actual Sydney game itself. So maybe have it on in the background, watch it, listen to us chat about it. And we'll be doing a bit of a match build-up for the Melbourne game. I think it was meant to be recorded tonight, but I think I'm going to go to bed as soon as we finish this recording. So might do it early tomorrow. So if you follow us on the socials, if you subscribe wherever you listen, then you won't have to worry about when it's released. It'll be right there for you at Navy Blue Corner.
Oh, I've just put it in the chat, so make sure you go and give Ian some love. Paolo, what the hell are you doing this week?
We've got there's plenty going on. So Jumper Punch, obviously we had last night. We've got a little preview thing that we've just tested the waters with. So we had Big Kados come on. So that's going to be up at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. So we went through a little mini Melbourne preview, which was good fun. Asked him about the snow and Mount Buller and how that's all going for the Demons. SEN podcast for the Blues with the Great Pont. So that's going up as well. And then overnight starts tomorrow night. So Thursday night running through the rest of the weekend. So there is plenty of stuff happening in not just my world, but everyone's world at the moment, which is good.
I've put Paolo's Twitter in the feed, so you can go and find that, because he just literally links everything into that. So that is probably the easiest way, the podcast and everything else. And Mr. Joe, Almost Blues Brothers, what are you guys up to this week?
Yeah, we recorded live on Sunday, so episode 107. You can go find that on the Blue Abroad channel or on our Spotify or Apple Podcasts. The review of the Sydney game, previewed the Melbourne game. Yeah, we went for a while too on Sunday night. It was nice. It was a good app. But yeah, follow us on Instagram if you're not already. At Almost Blues Brothers, we've got a little giveaway for a semi-final ticket going on at the moment. That draw is happening tomorrow. So if you're not in that already and you're looking for a ticket, head to our Instagram now at Almost Blues Brothers.
Same for us guys too. If anyone's struggling for a ticket, just hit us up with an inbox. We'll try and help everyone out. That's what it's all about here.
I've just put Almost Blues Brothers stuff into the chat as well. So if you guys and girls are looking for a ticket, get following them and just get there and support them anyway. Do you know what I mean? Even if you have got a ticket, support them. Very good listen. 3 great guys. Good value. And what have I got on this week? I've got loads. Tomorrow I will be on here with Faz. The football round ball returns. We'll be covering everything from the week off that we've had and the week up. And I'll be taking the piss out of Faz because his tipping's appalling and I've regained my lead by a long way. I will have a preview of the other game, Port versus GWS, coming up. Reviews, loads of draft content with probably these guys coming up as well. We're going to do some live stuff as well. And on Sunday, a big show debuts, which is taking you into the off season and beyond. The Pom and Let Dog show debuts on this channel Sunday, 8:00. Me and Let Dog. I've got him out of podcast retirement. He promised his wife he wouldn't start anymore. Well, he's a liar. Make sure you check that out. But everyone, look after yourself. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your working week. Peace.
Up the